2, 1. All right, guys. So yeah, all right. So I'm here alone tonight, this evening, to do a life and whatever else. So we're not gonna be here that long. We're gonna make this one quick, easy, and we'll get out of here. So I wanted to come in. Got to come in regularly, even if you don't have, a guest or whatever. Got to come in and get your reps in, I guess you could say. So welcome to Life and Whatever Else. Another episode here, me by myself on a Wednesday. We record on a Wednesday night. Obviously, we put it out on a Monday. But yeah, there were a couple things that I wanted to talk about that came up in the last couple days, and yeah, let's start. So first of all, I wanted to start off with news about WWE SmackDown and how SmackDown will now be on Fox. Fox has secured a deal for the SmackDown rights. They wanted to get both SmackDown and Raw, but WWE looks like they're keeping Raw on USA on Monday nights. But Fox is going to pay the WWE $200 million a year for the rights. I believe it's for 5 years. I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be 5 years, something like that. But they're going to pay them for SmackDown, and they're going to put it on the regular Fox network, not FS1, not FX. It looks like it's going to be on Fox, which is interesting. Network TV on, a Friday night. I mean, Friday night's not necessarily the biggest night for TV, but to put it on network TV on a Friday night is pretty big. So you have that, and I think the big news that came out of everything is that the WWE is now worth $4.4 billion. And I'm reading this article up that I have in front of me. That's the amount that the UFC was sold for back in 2016, which was pretty interesting. UFC also going through some TV rights deals that we'll mention a little later. But the interesting thing about it is that a lot of people have commented on the success of WWE, and they've commented on how much WWE is worth, all the money that they're bringing in, everything like that. And it's almost ironic that this is all going on at a time when maybe the product itself is at an all-time low. I mean, to start off, you have Roman Reigns, the Roman Reigns saga, which never ends. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Do the fans like him? How much merchandise is he selling? Is he really performing the way that he should? Should he be the top guy in the company? They can't even answer that. They don't know any of the answers. They just put him out there all the time. And it seems like he's in an endless feud with Brock Lesnar that gets nowhere. And they always try to hype up the matches, and just nothing. It just seems like nothing ever works, really. And Reigns is one of these guys that, they bank on. And so when you don't even know really what to do with Roman Reigns, it's so amazing to me that Fox puts all this money into the product. I mean, listen, it may come across as bad-mouthing the WWE right now, but what you got to keep in mind is that, WWE right now is the biggest wrestling company in the world. And I think for all the money that they make, their product should be a lot, much better. I can't even speak English. Much better. It should be much better than it is. I mean, the other night on Raw, they had a segment with Bobby Lashley. I mean, I didn't really watch it, to be honest with you, but all I know is that people were not too thrilled with that segment, because it was basically Bobby Lashley, and they were introducing his sisters. It was him and Sami Zayn, and they were introducing his sisters and everything like that. And his sisters were men in drag. And of course, as the segment went on, Lashley comes in, he then beats them up. the whole 9 yards. People sit there and say that it was one of the worst segments, if not the worst segment in the history of Raw. And it's crazy to me that at a time when WWE is securing all of these deals for huge money, that their actual product is probably at an all-time low. Just segments like that. In addition, they bring back Daniel Bryan, and when they bring back Daniel Bryan, you have this great story of this guy overcoming the odds of almost having to retire because of concussions. He gets cleared. He's wrestling again, and he's pretty much a regular guy within a couple months of returning. So it's amazing to me that they just can't figure out their creative, but they can figure out how to make money. It's almost like nowadays, in today's day and age, and I say this a lot about celebrities, and you can look at people like the Kardashians. There are a lot of people in today's day and age that work hard at being famous more than they actually work at their actual craft. And I almost feel like this is an example of it to a certain degree. The only difference is that, Vince McMahon has built the company up for years and years. So it has taken a lot of work for a lot of years to get the company to where it is now. Couldn't hold that yawn in. Sorry, guys. It takes a lot to get the company to where it is now, but it's a classic example of a company, or it's a classic example of people working hard at being something, but not actually being good at what they're supposed to be good at. If you look at an athlete to a certain degree, you got to be good at your craft to be able to do it. You have to be a good basketball player. You have to play basketball. You have to play baseball, play football, whatever the sport is, play soccer, hockey, whatever the sport is. You have to actually be good at it to, get famous. But instead, you got a lot of people who just work hard at being famous as opposed to actually doing a good job at what they're doing. So I got a little distracted. I was looking out the window here because I got the glass window open here, and I can see out into the hall, and there's a lot of movement. So I'm looking out there, trying to seeing what's going on and everything. I see a bunch of people. So but WWE is making a shit ton of money, and I think their creative can be a ton better. I think a great way to look at this is actually like the the New York Knicks. They are the most valuable franchise in the NBA, I believe. They are worth, I believe, 3.6. They're worth now $3.6 billion, the New York Knicks. And a lot of people would sit there and they ask, hi. A lot of people sit there and they ask, why are the New York Knicks worth $3.6 billion? They're not good. They haven't won a championship since the 70s. In more recent history, they have not. They've only made the playoffs, I believe, 3 times since maybe 2001. So why are the Knicks worth that? Well, I think there are a lot of factors. None of them have to do with basketball. I think it's their location, where they're located in New York City. The amount of money that people spend on them. I mean, people spend a lot of money going to these games. They always talk about how great the Knicks fans are. I think a lot of the Knicks fans that actually go to the games are not necessarily the diehards, but they're the people who want to go for the experience, and not only want to go for the experience, but let's also keep in mind there are probably a lot of people who go when, the stars show up. I mean, when LeBron James comes in, when, the Golden State Warriors come into town, people always want to see them. So, the New York Knicks, even though they're a train wreck, they always draw, and they are worth a ton of money because of that, because of factors that are not basketball. Now, imagine if the basketball was good. So sometimes when I think of the WWE and how successful they are, all the money that they're making, you can, look at the New York Knicks as an example. I mean, 3.6, 4.4, not that far off in terms of the number. So, that's kind of how I look at things. But that's the WWE. I also mentioned the UFC has a TV deal. They are with ESPN. I don't have the article up there that I'm looking at, so let me see if I can find this information. They have signed on with ESPN, and let me see. I'm looking this up right now. It's not the deal that they wanted. They had wanted something a lot. They had wanted a lot more money. However, they had to settle for, I believe, 150 million, something like that. I think they wanted a lot more money. I'm trying to find it here. Okay, here we go. So I'm pulling it up right now. So ESPN, UFC struck a deal for a second portion to the package currently held by Fox Sports. So it would be Fox and ESPN that will bring the total cost in the neighborhood of $300 million per year for 5 years, totaling $1.5 billion. The new deals, which cover a total of 30 fights per year, kick in early 2019. Could not be reached for comment. So deals would be split between ESPN's linear channels, ESPN Plus, new streaming service is exiting. Yes, this article doesn't really say that much on the specifics, but they're going to be moving over. ESPN's always been weird when it has come to certain sports, and I think combat sports is not something that they've done well in the past, but I was glad to hear that the UFC is going to be keeping on their production people to do the productions of the show, which is good news because ESPN, their boxing, not the biggest fan of it. I think sometimes when it comes to ESPN and their boxing, they make it look very low rent. I think they have some good fighters. I mean, Pacquiao fought on ESPN. Lomachenko has fought on ESPN. It just, I don't know, just something about ESPN. It just doesn't make their fighters look big time. It makes their fighters look minor league. And I actually think it hurts, especially Top Rank, who has a deal with them. I think it hurts their fighters in the long run, because even though maybe more people can see them, you're also having more people see them in a light that's not necessarily as, I don't want to say positive, but I think you're having more people see them in maybe a way that's not as flattering as it would be on an HBO or Showtime, something like that. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. UFC has kind of struggled with their events too. They're another organization. It just, I don't know, something's just not clicked. I think that they've struggled really putting together some really solid, back to back solid events. I think a lot of the events that they've put on have been very mediocre. I mean, if you're a hardcore fight fan, you'll enjoy them. But if not, then it's rough. Also, they got to keep their fighters in the cage. I mean, John Jones has his troubles. Now Fabricio Verdum got popped for a drug test. They kind of got to figure some stuff out too. So we'll see what happens with the UFC. Another thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is the NFL came up with some new rules for the anthem, and there were some pretty interesting rules. Basically, the gist of it is that teams can now be penalized for whatever protest that that their players decide to do. If they take a knee, disrespect the flag. It's kind of silly because basically what they're saying is that we'll enforce penalties. Stand if they are on the field during the performance, but gives them the option to remain in the locker room if they prefer. It was announced Wednesday. Now, the thing that's really interesting about that is that I remember one game this past season where the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears, I believe, stayed in the locker rooms during the anthem, and people got just as upset about them staying in the locker room as them, kneeling on the sidelines. So basically what the NFL has done is they've created another situation where even though players out on the field may not be kneeling, people are going to find out who has stayed in the locker room. And I just think it's so stupid. The whole thing with the anthem is it's just dumb because I feel it's freedom of speech. People have every right to protest whatever they want. You don't have to agree to something. I mean, there are a lot of players who could probably protest. I might give them a side eye if I was there. I might say that's silly, but I'm not going to sit there and say that they can't do it. Okay? So for people to sit there and say that players shouldn't be able to protest, it's silly to me. It really is. And these owners are scared of Trump. They're scared of what might happen. And I think it's kind of ridiculous. And also there are a lot of people who watch the NFL who are not, Trump people who don't think that players kneeling is disrespecting the flag. I mean, there are other things that you can do to disrespect the flag. I don't think kneeling during a national anthem is the worst thing that you could do. And also these protests were not about the flag, anything. It was about, police injustice and everything, and, police discrimination, and they've totally turned everything around. And I think it's ridiculous that the NFL the NFL makes all these moves and then they pat themselves on the back saying, oh, look at what we did. We created this rule and everything, but now there's going to be a ton of other things that come with it, a ton of stupidity that comes with it. It's not going to be over. This is just going to keep lingering, and the NFL just always, they love to act like they're doing something when they're not really doing something. And, if I were players, I wouldn't kneel anymore, to be honest with you. I don't think it's worth their trouble. However, I would not stop speaking out on what they think is wrong. I would not, maybe even in between games, do what you can in between, from week to week to show people that you're still fighting against things. And I think that's the right way to go. I mean, I wouldn't kneel anymore, though. I don't think it's worth it to kneel. There's some people that are not ever going to pay attention to you. And I think they just continue to do your work, on the side. That's what I would do. Continue to do your work on the side, and just let people know that you're not going to stop doing that you're always going to fight injustice. And even if it means you can't kneel, it doesn't mean that it's going to stop you. I mean, at least one owner, I believe, what's his name? Chris Johnson? Who is, let me see here. I'm looking on my phone because I don't have anybody working on the side there. Yes. Jets CEO Chris Johnson says he'll pay any anthem-related league fines for his players. That's great, A quote from him: "I never want to put restrictions on the speech of our players. Do I prefer that they stand? Of course, but I understand if they felt the need to protest." That, to me, that is the ideal answer. That is the ideal answer. There is no need to stop somebody from protest. It's silly because I always say there might come a day where you will want to protest something and people will point to this and say, you know what? or maybe not protest, but you want to stand up against something. And people will point to this and say, no, you didn't let us do this, so we shouldn't let you do that. And I think, that's what people have to understand is that, it's freedom of speech. You have to let people protest. It's what makes this country what it is. And, when you take that away, then this country is not what it is. It's something completely different. And I think if we continue to go down this path, we might be in big trouble. So, I don't know. Hopefully something gets figured out. I don't know what could possibly get figured out, but we'll see what goes on with that. What else did I want to mention? What else is going on? Playoffs. We taped this on Wednesday, and the playoffs obviously are going to be ongoing. So when you guys actually see this on Monday, something else might have already happened. So basically, on Monday, well, let me not say on Monday. We're Wednesday. We're on Wednesday right now. Sorry. So by Monday, we might know who's in the NBA Finals. As of right now, it's 2-2 in the West, Golden State, Houston. It is 2-2 in the East, Boston, Cleveland, with them playing right now. So, I'm going to go out on a limb. I will say I want to see Boston win. So, I think that until Cleveland, and let me check the score in that game, until Cleveland beats them on their home floor, and it's 49-37 in the second quarter, Boston. Until Cleveland beats them in Boston, Boston has the upper hand. I think personally, I think they're the better team. However, I think being the better team might get offset because I think the best player on the court is LeBron James. I think that might offset things, but I still think they're the better team, and I think that they should win. They don't have to win in Cleveland, but I think it definitely would be great for their psyche to win in Cleveland. Because if they don't win in Cleveland, then they have to come back for a Game 7, and anything can happen in a Game 7. Also when you're on a long winning streak at home, you never know. Law of averages. At some point, you got to lose. So you don't want to fall into that trap. But I like Boston. I think Boston gets it done. Obviously, it has to be in 6 or 7. I think Boston ends up getting it done in 7 games. But I would like to see them get it done in 6. Going over to the West, it's an interesting series. It's 2-2. Each team has won a game on the other team's home court. So it'll be interesting to see how this series finishes. I think Golden State wins in 7. And I actually say that I wouldn't be shocked if Golden State actually goes down 3-2, but I don't see Houston winning again in Golden State. I think Houston has to put together a huge effort to win in Golden State, so I don't see them winning again there. So even if Houston goes up 3-2 after Game 6, I definitely see it going to a Game 7 because I see Golden State winning in Oakland. And I'm sticking with the Warriors because I think that the Warriors can win. I think the Warriors can win a game in Houston. I don't know if Houston can win another game in Golden State, though. I think it took a lot of effort, and I'll be interested to see if they can even win the next game. Because like I said, we taped this Wednesday, comes out on Monday, so it'll be interesting to see, by Monday where the series has gone. But I think that I really do think, or where the series has ended up, I think that Golden State can win in Houston. I just don't know if Houston can win in Golden State again. So basically what it comes down to is Houston having to win both games at home. I don't think that they will. I think Golden State will get it together and win. In the NHL playoffs, in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Vegas Golden Knights' first season and expansion season in the Stanley Cup final, and they're going to play the winner of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals. It's a really interesting story. It's a cool story to see an expansion franchise in Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals. and we will see what happens with that. They've played well. I kind of want them to win the Stanley Cup. It'd be interesting. I think a lot of people, there's some people that might be questioning if it's too much too soon. Maybe people will, sorry for picking my nose right there, but I had an itch. But I think it's an interesting story because I think some people might say it'll be too fast, too much too soon for Vegas. However, you can also look at it. It might be, but do you really want the opposite? Do you want a team to suck for 5 years and then get good? I mean, hey, who cares if you have some front running fans? I mean, whatever. People like success, so hey, let them have it. And I'm actually kind of rooting for them. I'm a Ranger fan. They're not in it right now, so I'm rooting for the Golden Knights. Be interesting to see them win. Justify has a chance at a triple crown at Belmont in a couple weeks, so that'll be interesting to see. Really, the Belmont's I only enjoy watching it when there's a chance for a triple crown. This year we have it, so Kentucky Derby and the Preakness is over with, yeah, we'll see what happens, and we'll see if Justify can win a triple crown. So there's that. Coming up, guys, this summer, I have some things planned. We're going to be doing some more stuff, and hopefully you guys enjoy the stuff that we have coming for you in the summertime. I know it's been a little slow. I've been a little distracted with some things, but that'll change. We're going to get a lot of things done, and we're going to have a lot of really fun, cool stuff over the summer to show you guys. So hopefully you enjoy it, and yeah, catch us on, social media, LAWESHOWSM. Like I always say, that's our Facebook, that's our Twitter, that's our Tumblr, that's our Instagram. However, Instagram right now is the one thing that we upload stuff to the most. We have pictures, let you know what's going on. And, we got a lot of things. So, yeah, go to the Instagram for right now, and then eventually we'll get everything else going. All right? So check that out, and then check out the YouTube page. Obviously, Life and Whatever Else, no spaces. Life and Whatever Else, no spaces. That's YouTube. Comment, like, subscribe. Show us some support. We appreciate all the support we get. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And I will talk to you next time. Peace.